Yes, good evening students. Yesterday in day 4 हम लोगों ने लूपिंग स्टेटमेंट पर डिस्कशन किया था जिसमें वाइल लूप, डू वाइल लूप, फॉर लूप और नेस्टिंग ऑफ लूप और स्पेशल लूपिंग कंट्रोल कमांड, एक तो ब्रेक और दूसरा कंटिन्यू, इस पर हम लोगों ने डिस्कशन किया था। आज day 5, in this day 5 of our fundamental of computer programming पर डेटा सेट पर बात करेंगे। तो डेटा स्ट्रक्चर के लिए वी रिक्वायर्ड ए डेटा स्ट्रक्चर जिसमें यूजर डिफाइंड डेटा टाइप हम बनाएंगे। तो पहला एरे का कंसेप्ट देखेंगे जिसमें 1 डायमेंशनल एरे, 2 डायमेंशनल एरे, उनके ऊपर में ऑपरेशंस, देन स्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर भी थ्योरी और उसका हम लोग एग्जाम्पल पर डिस्कशन करेंगे। किसी भी स्टूडेंट को कभी भी अगर कुछ डिफिकल्टीज आती है, अगर वो क्यूरियस इन्फोटेक सॉल्यूशन से बातचीत करना चाहते हैं तो दे कैन कम्युनिकेट थ्रू ऑफिशियल ईमेल आईडी ऑफ क्यूरियस इन्फोटेक सॉल्यूशन। Now we will see the next slide. In the next slide, we will understand the definition of array. Array is not a nowadays is very popular. So what is the definition of array? किसी भी कंप्यूटर प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में array is compulsory. So array is nothing but it is a collection of similar data items. So what is the sense of similar data item? जैसा यहाँ पर एग्जाम्पल लिया है 10, 30, 50, 60, 90. So these are nothing but all same kind of data जिसको हम इंटीजर बोलते हैं। तो अगर इसका हमको करेक्शन करना है तो उसके लिए एरे इज द बेस्ट डेटा स्ट्रक्चर। नाउ दिस एरे स्टोर एट contiguous memory location. What is the sense of contiguous memory location? उसको हम थोड़ी देर में समझेंगे। Now another important term in array, elements can be accessed. Access means जिसको हम इनपुट आउटपुट कर सकते हैं, ऑपरेशंस कर सकते हैं। तो एलिमेंट कैन बी एक्सेस्ड इन एरे randomly. It is not a sequentially property. It is randomly access the all element. तो उसके लिए we required some indices. So this is the one important word that is associated with an array. Now this is the one example of memory block in which there are the cells. Now in these cells, array will store their element. Lekin it will store in contiguous memory location. So what is the sense of contiguous memory location? It is basically a method in which a single contiguous section and part of memory is allocated to a process or file needing it. So it is meaning like that. Suppose you have memory empty. So it will store in the contiguous. Contiguous means suppose your memory is empty here, empty here, empty here, empty here, and 5 element empty here. So it is not possible to in array will store the value 10 here, 30 here, 50 here, 60 here, 90 here. It basically requires the all memory should be contiguous. It should be in the sequence, in the one section, so that it is possible to process. Okay, now we will see the next slide. In next slide, we will understand the need of an array. For example, we have individual variable. Let there are 100 variables. So we should make a variable, first variable as a number 0, second variable as a number 1, and the last variable as a number 99. So in array, instead of declaring individual variable like this, number 0, number 1, number 90, the array basically declaring one array variable such as number. एक वेरिएबल ले लेंगे जिसका नंबर वेरिएबल होगा, and we will use instead of number 0 with the square bracket. So as soon as we are using this square bracket, it becomes subscript variable, or that will be the part of array. So this is number 1, likewise number 99. So here 0, 1, 99 are nothing but indices. So by this indices, we can easily access any location of number. Okay. In the traditional concept, like number 0, number 1, number 99, so here we have to access through complete name instead of in array like 0, 1, 99. Now this a specific element is in that 0, 1, 99 is nothing but are known as a index. We will understand with the one example. We have a task, find sum and print of number in reverse order. So there are the 5 number, n1 to n5. So very first you have to think what are the unique variable name of this 5 number. Then second task is the reading of these 5 values. Now third important task is find the sum. In sum, again you have to write manually traditional individual variable name. Lastly, you have to print the all number in reverse order. Here again you have to write this all variable name one by one. And it is very hard to write this concept because every time you have to remember n1, n2, n3, n4, n5. Here 5 numbers are there. Think 5,000 numbers how you can remember, how you can write, how you can make program. It is a time consuming and it is a very hard to make a complete program. So instead of such capacity, we should use the array. That's why there is a need of an array. Now we will see the program using this traditional 5 variable name. So let this is your program. Now here we have this all red marking instructions. By that it is become very hard to write a program. So here very first you are making 5 variable declaration, 5 variable input, then sum, then print. So this is very time consuming and very minutely you have to write this all, because sometimes it becomes small, capital, number. So here of course there are 5 number, but think 5,000, 50,000 number like that. Always in programming you have to understand you are basically making program starting from 5 number. Okay. Also think what become 500. Okay. Also you have to think like a 50,000. Whenever you will think the big number, then you will get a idea, or you have to rush towards reach this 50, 100 values, how you can accommodate. So every time you make a small program to get a logic on these small values, then try to make a manually for some big number. But after that, you have to think how we will manage these big inputs. Then only you can understand the programming logic. Now we will see the next slide. Here I will explain what are the rules to make a array. Array basically represented dimension wise. So here very first we are dealing with the one dimension array, either x-axis or y-axis. So here in this pic you can easily understand, let this is a your variable of array. Now here this ARR is a variable name, and this one is known as a your index of that element to be accessed. Now this A0 will accommodate here. Okay. Whatever the value of this is not a value, this is a subscript variable. Value may be your 10 as per the integer data type. Now understand the declaration, how we can declare this array. Okay, how we can declare this array. So very first you have to write type, array name, and array size. So here there is one example. In this example you can understand how we can declare an array. For example, we want set of 5 integer number. So very first you write int name of that set A and the size of that array. Now the size, array size must be an integer. and always think it is a positive integer. Okay, not possible to negative. It should be your positive integer. Okay, and this should be constant, that is the greater than 0. Means for one element, you have to write int and for one value. Okay, for one value the size should be 1. Okay, it not be your 0, it should be your 1. So this is the way how you can dealing with the one dimensional array. Now in the next slide we will see some example. Now let I have rule to initialize one dimensional array. So how we can initialize? This is very similar to that your normal initialization of a variable. So here you have array. This array should initialize with the is equal to and these 5 values. You can declare and you can assign also the all 5 values randomly or sequentially. It is depends your interest. Now in the next slide we will see the examples of C program. Let I have to access one dimensional array element. How can access? Now here for accessing you have to write output statement. This is your output statement. Now this one is initialization of an array. Make for loop. With this for loop you can move 0. This is your 0. Okay, this is the 0 and this one is the 4. So you make a for loop I is equal to 0 and I is equal to 4 and give a increment, that is the I plus plus. Now here you have to give the generic, that is the ith element. So whenever this loop say I is equal to 0, you have to display the location of 0, that is the 10. The very first 10 will output. Now increment with 1, so I1, so n at 1 become 20, at 2 30, at 3 40, at 4 50. So likewise you will get a output. You can also print in this way if you want some unique number. Just for example, I want only location 2 output, location 4 output. So at that time you can make this type of the print statement. Okay, now we will see more example. Now in this example I have to make a read 5 number. The first read 5 number, then find their sum and print in the reverse order. Okay, reverse order means you inputs are 10 20 30 40 50 and you have to print in the reverse order. Okay, now by array how it is possible? Now here this is a one message. Now we will make a one for loop. In this for loop we have to start from the location 4. So this is the location 4 and this is the location 0. That's why in the for loop I4 to 0 with 1 decrement. Now we are doing 2 operations here. With output we are also calculating this sum. So here after getting this sum, this is curly bracket, so this is a block of for loop. Now after completing this for loop, we have to print sum, that is the 150. Okay. So this is the way how we can make a program using one-dimensional array. Now in next slide, we will see the more interesting example. Here we have to find the biggest number. Okay. We have to find biggest number. In how many number? In 5 number. Okay. So very first you have to initialize as usual with the one more variable known as a big. Now make a for loop. In this for loop 0 to 4, because 0 and this is the location 4. So 0 to 4 and you have to print. So this is simple logic to get this output. Okay. Now in this 5 number we have to find biggest number. तो कैसे पता करेंगे biggest number? This is the complete logic. सबसे पहले assume your first number as a 0. Then go for the checking this number is bigger than the other number. If it is not there, so for example, you reach to the last two number 40 and 50. Okay. So by this you are getting what? 40. Now next number is 50. Okay. So 50 greater than 40. 50 greater than 40. So this if statement give the true statement. So as soon as this 50 greater than 40 is true, so big become 40 instead of this 40. And lastly, this loop will over. Then you have to go for what? Display the big. That is the biggest number. So here, this is the second logic. How we can display this 50. So by this simple activity, you may get a good knowledge. Now see another problem. Now we will have a two-dimensional array. So likewise, one-dimensional, there is more dimension is there. In this dimension, x and y. So this is your x and y. So this one is your x and this one is y. So x and y. So here this is known as your what? Rows and column. So sometimes it is known as a table. Sometimes also known as a matrix. Now every row or every column there is a unique location. This is the first location 0 and 0. In the last location that is the 2. This one is 2 and this one is 3. So 2 row and the third column. So likewise you can make this visualization. Now here how we can declare two-dimensional array. So similarly you write type array name and instead of this 1 square bracket you have to write 2 square bracket for the 2 dimension. So this is the one example of this matrices. तो इसके लिए ये example है int a 3 and 4. तो total 3 into 4 12 element. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. 12 elements. Now in the next slide we will see the example. In this example, I have how to initialize two-dimensional array. Similarly, one-dimensional array. So this is your name of the array and type integer. This is the row 1, this is the row 2, and this one is the row 3. So likewise, you can make a initialization of this two-dimensional. You can also initialize in this format. Both are same. but this one is more readable. Okay, because by this we can easily understand what are going in this initialization. Okay, so always try to maintain the understanding how you can, anyhow you have to decode. So why you make it complex, you make it simple so that you can decode very easily. Now in the next slide we will see the one example. Say you have to read and write मैट्रिक्स 3 by 3, ये आपको प्रिंट करना है. तो वेरी फर्स्ट वी हैव टू मेक ए इनिशियलाइजेशन. हमने यहाँ इनिशियलाइजेशन किया है. इन दिस इनिशियलाइजेशन 3 rows and 3 columns. Now how many for loop we have to use in the two-dimensional array? So as dimension will increase, the loop nesting will increase. तो यहाँ पे 2 लूप आपको लगाने पड़ेंगे. तो फर्स्ट लूप इज फॉर द रो. तो रो 1, then column 1 to J1 to 3. So likewise you have to get a proper location I and jth location, and by this you can get a values, and this is the logic how we will get a new line after this 30, because after 30 you have to write 40 in the new line. So for that we have to print /n. So this is of course very simple, but if you will assume it is simple, then it is possible. Now come to the next one more program in which we want to find the sum of this all value. How to find this sum? The first initialization and sum is equal to 0. Now make a 2 for loop in which this is the, instead of printing you make a sum of I and j location. After getting this final sum you have to print this sum. So by this sum 10 to 90 it will become as a 450. Okay. So likewise the two-dimensional we can use in the our project also. Now see the another. Now we will see the structure. Okay. Now in this structure, what are the difference between array and structure? In array it is a similar type, and in structure it is a different type. This is the one biggest difference. Now this is the example in which we can easily understand the structure. In this structure, one is the character, one is the int, different kind of your data type. Now in this structure, where is the user defined data type? Where is the user defined data type? So here user defined data type is address. This is the new data type in which this 5 sub data types are there. Okay. So this is the concept how we can make this structure. Now we will see this how we can initialize. In the next slide we will see the initialization of these members. So it is very true, we can't be initialized in the declaration. Say this is the wrong way to make an initialization of structure member. So for initialization, what we have to do? We have to make this initialization in the declaration. So here, this is the your this is the your structure. Say point. Point required 2 member. One is x and y. Any point. Let this is a point. This point is required what? Your 2 one is the x, one is the x and y. Okay, so you require this point. So this is called as a what? Your point. So this is called as a your point P1. Now let we have another point P2. Okay, so this P2 is x comma y. Both required x and y. So likewise, we have a structure point. Now this point has a some value x and y. So that value is here 0 and 1. Okay, this is the value of P1. So P1 x is 0 and 1 is y become 1. Okay, so this is the way how can initialize the structure member. Now see how to access. Let we have a this point. We have a this point in which your 0 1 is there. Now I want to display. So I have to use printf. So here x %d, y %d. Now the member dot operator p1 dot x, p1 dot y. So by this you will get what? The output 0 1. Now you can easily modify this value 20 with the replacing the 0. 0 के जगह क्या आ गया? Initially it is 0. Now it is become 20. So as this become 20, the same statement now P1x, P1y, and you will get what? 20 and 1. Now in the next slide, we will see how we can assign one structure to another structure. It is a very beautiful nature or characteristics of this structure. Let I have a structure and this structure member are n1, n2, n3. Now what we want? n1 become x is equal to 4, n1 y become 5. Okay. So this is the your simple value 1 point. Okay. Now what we have to do? We have to number, है ना? Okay. So here actually this is become as a point. So what I have to do? 1 second. I have to change. And in number it should be your 1 number. Okay? It should be your 1 number. And here I am modifying this program and say this is like that. Say this is like that. Okay. Now here we have only one value. It is only one value. Now tell me what you will get. What you will get here. So let I have n1 because this is a number. If this is a number, so one value is there, that is the x. Now I have three structure n1, n2, n3. So very first in 4 as a n1. The n1 is a 4. Now I am transferring this number to the n2. So this n2 is equal to n1. Now I want to print. Okay. I want to print. So here I have some modification. First is the n1 dot x and n2 dot x. Now tell me what you will get here. So by n1 dot x you should get 4, but also this transferring the structure n2 dot x you should get it 4. So this is the way how the one structure can assign to other structure. Okay. Now, now we are summing up the next slide. This is the array. How we can use this array in the structure. So let again I have this 1 point is there. Okay. Now I want to make a structure. So array in this structure. So here this is a one important statement representing array of structure. This is known as a array of structure. So what is the sense of this? The sense is that this is actually telling what? This is telling there are how many points? 10 points. How many points? There are now become 10 points. P1 to P10. P1 to P1 to this is P10. So this is the actually your realistic of this structure. Now let the first number that I want to make like A0, X as a 10, A0 as a 20. Now how we can print? This is the way how we can print the array members of structure, because it is not a your normal variable. It is array 0. Array 0 means it is a subscripted structure. ठीक है ना? This is a subscripted. So as soon as this array will there, you have to write a 0 and 0. Okay. Now the last slide, how we can use structure within structure. This example is only for this my students, because this is a very beautiful example. Why? Because by this example you can make a simple project. Now we have a one structure known as a address, another structure known as a imply. Okay, so two structure are there. One is the address, second is the imply. Now this address consists the three member, one city, pin, and the phone number. This imply contains this name and this address. This address is calling by this your username as a add. Add is a user structure variable. Address is a data type, user defined data type. So it is a user defined data type, and this add is a your structure variable. Now you make one structure variable of imply. EMP is a structure variable of type imply. Now we have to access. We have to read and write the values of this member. Now we have to use this scanf. So by this scanf, try to understand name. So %s, this is represent for the what? Your name. This is represent for what? Your integer. So here I want to read name. So this is the name. यहाँ से आपको name पढ़ना है. Now you have to read the city. So city is where? City in this address. है ना? ये यहाँ पर है. तो we have to use the double dot operator. emp dot add dot city. ठीक है? Likewise, we have to read the pin number. Pin is the integer. So we have to use this % symbol. So this is also the double dot emp add pin. Now likewise phone. Phone is a character. So here do not require this %d. It is a string type. Okay. Now similarly you can also make a output. The output के लिए only you have to use this printf. But here try to understand there is a no here percentage for the pin, because once you get address of this pin, we can directly print from that address. So this is the way how we can get a data structure or data set to get a operation in the through C programming. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. So likewise, you also make a assignment of this. I am publishing the assignment. Thank you to all.